Hey babes, I'm Cynthia.
And I'm Beverly. Grab your favorite drink. Let's sip and chat.
Welcome to Tipsy and Truthful, the podcast.
Period. Hey babes, welcome back again. This is another episode of Tipsy and Truthful, the podcast where two best friends sip and chat about relationship. No, parent. Ande el diablo, ¿y qué fue?
Relationship?
Parenthood? Relationships?
Yeah. Friendships, relationships.
No, we don't have friendships in there. Parenthood?
Yo no sé.
What the fuck is our line?
I mean, you can check your phone. It's on our Instagram. Yeah.
Life.
Mm-hmm.
Dios.
Kind of important.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
This mic is too far for me. Okay. Ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey babes, welcome back to another episode of Tipsy and Truthful, the podcast where two best friends sip and chat about life, relationships, parenthood, and everything in between. I am Beverly again.
I am Cynthia.
Also again. So same outfit as last week.
Mm-hmm.
We just decided to wear the same clothes twice.
No.
No. So this is part 2 to the we don't even know what the title's gonna be yet, but it's
Self-Sabotage.
It's about self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot to talk about. We didn't want to squeeze it into one episode. So this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back to last week's episode 13. This is 14. Period.
Poo.
14 whole episodes.
And I just want to say, go to our comments. Like, if you watch the episode, and tell us what resonated with you. So leave it in the comments. Like, share, if you feel comfortable, obviously. But yeah, show us
feel
some
comfortable.
love. Feel comfortable and feeling
just a share.
uncomfortable. You know?
It's just a share.
Maybe that's a step number 1. Opening up about deep secrets.
Yeah, maybe. So our second part of this episode is about still about self-sabotage. Still, we want to go deeper into what to do once you realize that you're self-sabotaging, what to do next.
Even though, before we even go into that, I think one that we haven't talked about, 1 or 2, that I know they talked about in the book. By the way, the book is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weist.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that we didn't talk about.
Wait, read it, please.
No, it's an amazing book. It's life-changing, especially if you're on a journey and you don't even know where to begin. If you're on a journey of self-discovery, a journey of of self in general, I think this is a great book for reflecting on why you do the things you do in your life, like finding those reasons and what purposes they serve in your life, in your everyday life, of making the choices that you make every day and you don't even realize it. But I think something we didn't talk about in the last episode, because we gave a lot of examples, but a big one is love.
Well, wait, let's start over. In case somebody jumped into this episode and hasn't
I just didn't want
the
to.
First one.
I need to talk about that.
Yes. One more time, real quick, how would you define self-sabotage? Now that you know that we read the book and all that.
Self-sabotage is trying to find a need that was not met. You're basically, your body, your mind, and your subconscious mind is trying to protect you from not meeting those needs that you needed met, especially when you were a child. Sometimes in your adolescent or even adulthood, because we form new habits every day. Needs that are not met, and your self-conscious trying to protect you from.
It's subconscious.
Subconscious. What did I say?
Subconscious.
Ay, Dios mío. I'm like, I said that.
Listen,
what are you talking about?
You guys are seeing this a week after, but like we've already had quite a few shots and drinks, and we are deep into this. So you're subconscious.
My subconscious, not your self-conscious. It's deep rooted in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you go on making, doing things that you don't realize you're doing that are actually hurting you.
Yes.
So
Can you
get in the way of
getting in the way of yourself?
Yeah, you get in the way of yourself, and that's why it's called the mountain is you. You are the mountain. You need to get the heck out of the way.
And in love, can you give me like one example of how someone might self-sabotage?
I had this conversation with a great friend of mine. Don't want to say her name. But we talked about, we were talking about the need to want to be in a relationship. But, she was explaining, she's like, I just don't get it. Like, when I'm finally starting to like someone or someone is getting close, I immediately stop it and shut it down. I was like, yeah. And that is because the need for you is to have control. You know that you can control the situation if you stop it. But if you continue in a relationship and you don't know the ending, you can end up hurt. You can end up in, like, you don't know how to deal with those feelings of like being hurt or really being in love, but really don't know what to do with all that if you've never been loved, feeling unworthy of love, feeling unworthy of being in a healthy relationship. And so because the power is in your hand, the self-sabotaging is what you do to protect yourself. Like, you just don't want to get in the way. You want to control whether you get hurt or not, or whether you get loved or not, So that's the self-sabotaging in love.
I have another example that I see a lot. Somebody is in a relationship with someone who surface level is perfect for them. They get along great. They are attentive. They are respectful. All the things. But you start nitpicking. Why does he look at me in this certain way? He definitely farted in his sleep last night. Like, what is that? Like, any little tiny insignificant thing becomes a deal breaker. In situations like that, sit down and think, why am I trying to find something wrong when there's nothing wrong? Is it because I have a need of protecting myself because I have trust issues? Is it because I don't feel worthy of someone who loves me this much? Is it because, self-sabotage is about, we said it in the previous episode, you have a conscious need and you have an unconscious need. Why do I struggle so much with saying those two words?
I say subconscious, even though it's almost the same thing.
Well, you're unconscious. Right? So the conscious need is I have a need of...
The conscious need and desire.
So in that situation that I just said, you're in a relationship with somebody who's great. What would you think is a conscious need?
Having control again.
Well, more surface level is the conscious need is being in a partnership.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the sabotaging part.
No, that's the unconscious one. So the conscious need is I want to be in a relationship. I want a companion. I want
to be in a healthy companionship.
I want
partnership.
But beneath that, the unconscious need is the need for you to feel worthy, for you to feel safe, for you to feel. For some people, it's to feel in control. Realizing where this is happening in your life is gonna be huge. It's something we are still working through in our lives, in a lot of different aspects. I don't know about maybe in my romantic relationship as much. We're like, I don't know. Maybe if I sat here and thought about it, I could find an example of self-sabotage. But that comes to mind. I do it a lot in my professional career and in my family life more. Like my habits is where my self-sabotage comes to play more. Can you think of like an example in case somebody who's watching this now didn't watch the first part? Maybe in habits, an example of a self-sabotaging. Like
chaos. Chaos is a huge word. Time management. Feeling like you never have control of managing your time, managing just, being in control of the things that you do or don't do, or you have time to do or not do. Those are... That
was my phone. I just moved it against
I know. I'm like, those are forms of self-sabotaging. I feel like for our viewers, I feel like the common theme, not only with everything we talked about in the last episode, but I think we have to be conscious of the fact that everything we're doing is hurting us. Everything we're doing is holding us back from reaching. The whole point of these 2 episodes is for you to realize that at the end of the day, all these things are habits and coping mechanisms that you have put in place subconsciously without realizing that they're trumping your growth, trumping you getting to where you want to get to, trumping where you ultimately see your life, your family life, where you see yourself.
There's one that I saw, that I read in the book, that I feel the need to put out there because I feel like a lot of people maybe can relate. So we have this thing about body image, right? And we have these goals that we set. Like, I want to weigh a certain, the conscious goal is I want to weigh X, Y, and Z pounds, or I want to lose this amount of weight, or I want to eat healthy. I want to eat clean. I want to cut gluten and dairy and artificial stuff and sugar from my diet. And then the subconscious need that you have is acceptance and love and self-love. So the way that you self-sabotage, is something wrong with your cup?
No.
So the way that you self-sabotage is every time you're trying to do all these things, all these goals, that's going to get you to a place where your body is going to be where you want it to be. You go back to eating McDonald's. Because your need is actually being met, where you're like, okay, I don't want to put myself out there because I'm not worthy of having this body. I'm not worthy of feeling this great. So you're actually meeting your need of feeling safe in I'm not worthy. Okay?
I can relate to that.
This is what we want everyone to open their eyes to. Like, you're actually taking care of yourself subconsciously in an unhealthy way. And in the book, it goes into ways to, number one, realize what you're doing, and number two, fix it and get out of this self-sabotaging system that you're in. So the first thing is probably super hard. And I myself haven't done this part yet, but it says that you have to list out all of the things that you don't like in your life.
Yeah, I had to do this.
I haven't done this. I did a similar exercise in the new year. One of the podcasts that I love that I've mentioned here is Michelle Panning, Unfuck Your Relationships. Look her up. She's great. She's very girl power, like in your face. Like, feminist. She's not, I wouldn't call her a feminist.
I would. In a positive way, not the negative.
I feel like there's a positive or negative feminist.
There is.
What is the definition of a feminist?
Well, there's people that view it either positively or negatively. And I feel like she is more encompassing of not like, like she is not.
I would say like she's more a girl power versus a feminist.
I feel like she.
Because I think for me, maybe I have a skewed definition, but for me, a feminist is somebody who believes in that women should have the same rights as men. And if that's the definition,
not the only thing,
then okay. I'm a feminist. But if it's like a woman doesn't need a man, then I'm not a feminist. You know what I mean? It depends on how you.
I guess
your
it's
definition,
subjective,
right?
It's subjective. I feel like it is.
Let's Google it.
Oh,
Time out.
Tangent. Tipsy and tangent. You see what I'm saying? I should have kept my mouth shut. But I do like her. I really do love her view on a lot of.
Yeah, it's an advocate of women's right on the basis of the equality of sexes.
Okay, I use that term loosely. Sorry. Okay.
So, I feel like she's more like girl power. Like, she's like very like embody your feminism. Like,
take control.
Take control and be secure and confident in who you are, because you deserve the best. This is why I like her podcast. And
she's very raw, and I love that about her.
That's the thing about her. She is not like rainbows and butterflies. She's like,
it's 20 minutes of like, you're gonna get it.
Of like, no, this is what you're doing, babe, and you need to stop because it's fucking your life up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, like, she's great.
I love that podcast. Please go find it and listen to it after this one, of course.
Of course.
We're not going to shoo you over there and forget about us. But she did this thing that I joined in the beginning of the year where it's like setting intentions for 2023. And in it made you, she had you make a list of things that energized you and depleted you in 2022. So basically a list of all the things that you think about and it brings you joy, it brings a smile to your face. Obviously this podcast was on my list. And then the things on the other side that depleted you, that you don't want to bring into 2023. Mm-hmm. So I did something similar as in that, but I really want to sit down, and that will be my goal for this month, is to really sit down and look at the things that my Beverly 2.0, my Beverly Pro Max is a certain person that I can picture, and I don't feel like I'm her yet. I feel like I'm stepping into her. I was plain old Beverly before I realized that anything was wrong.
You were never plain.
Okay, I was regular Beverly. If I'm talking about iPhones, right? I was just Beverly. And then I had like a little bit of an awakening where I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's other ways to think, right? And I became Beverly Plus. And now I'm trying to become Beverly Pro Max. And when I picture this, like this woman, who is she? What does she think? How does she feel? I want to make a list of all the things that I'm currently doing that don't match Beverly Pro Max. Okay? As like, I don't think
I get what exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Of course.
So I want to make a list.
Things that align and things that don't align.
Things that align with the higher, the best version of myself that I'm not currently
When you picture yourself ultimately where you want to be, how are the things you're doing aligning with where you want to go? And if not, then we got to get rid of them.
Something's got to change. Yeah. Because if I'm trying to step into this better version of myself, staying in the same ways is not going to do anything.
Never.
I've been doing that for 30-something years. How old am I?
34.
Thank you. 34 years. And guess what? Things haven't changed. If you don't change, nothing's going to change.
I feel like we also have to be graceful because you've changed a lot.
Well, that's why I said I'm Beverly Plus right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Like, I was just Beverly. I'm Beverly Plus, but I know I still have some growth.
We all have ways to grow,
right? Yeah. So think about, I'm going to invite you, babe, to do the same thing. Think about your Pro Max version, okay? And who is this person? What do they feel like when they wake up in the morning? What do they think? Whatever. And anything that's in your life that doesn't match that is going to be a list of problems. Clip them. It's going to be a list of like the problems that you currently have. And as hard as it is to face it, that's going to be step one. If it's your finances, be very specific. Like, okay, Beverly Pro Max is financially free. Right now, these are my debts. This is my income. And you need to really face it and not accept that for your life anymore. Okay? If it's in relationships, Beverly Pro Max is married, is in a loving relationship, is in anything that you feel is in your Pro Max version. I'm trying to find other words.
In your future self.
Thank you. In the best version. You need to write it down. And they list it as problems in your life. I think of maybe spaces where we can...
Opportunities for growth.
Opportunities for growth. Okay? Be very specific as you can. In finances, in relationships, in your career. What type of career?
Parenthood.
If you don't know specifically what type of career, then is it something creative? Is it something in finance?
Let's start out with simple. Is what you're doing now going to make you get to where you ultimately want to go? Does it serve a purpose in your life? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? No? Then
that's an opportunity for growth.
Exactly. Then what things do fulfill you? What things do fill you with joy when you think about them that you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life? And those are like small baby steps that you can take, because I know, you know what it is, and maybe for me, it's very overwhelming when you think about all the things in your life that are not going the way that you want them to go. When you're standing and you look at your life, where you are now and where you want to go, it just feels like, man, this is a mountain that I got to climb.
Yes. But if you don't face it, guess what?
And I understand that, but when you stand in front of the mountain, you're like one step at a time, because eventually, this is what I want you guys to understand. Time will pass regardless. Time is going to pass regardless. So either you start taking a step a day now, or you keep putting it off and you're going to be in the same place, not even one step closer to where you want to go.
Not even towards the plus version of it.
Not even to the plus version with the new charger, you know? So like, it's hard because and I'm going to be very honest and very vulnerable right now. For me, and Beverly knows this, a lot people that are very close to me know that I struggle with panic attacks, with anxiety. I've dealt with them for a while. And I've learned to silence those voices, to silence the things that tell me that I'm not going to make it to where I'm supposed to go.
Good for you, babe.
It's hard because I've called you like freaking out, like, yeah, am I having a heart attack? No, it's a panic attack, you know? And I literally have to talk myself out of it and be like, you are okay. You are safe. This is a panic attack and this is not real. And then I calm down and then I'm like, all right, I'm just being dramatic. My mind is telling me that I can't do things that I know that I can do. Mm-hmm. But it's breaking all those things, and it's not easy. It's painful. Physically, it's painful. But also emotionally and spiritually, you have to get rid of so many things. And it takes so much work, and it takes such a toll that if you let those things discourage you, you'll never start taking steps forward and towards the things that you are supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. It's a process.
But step one is definitely sit down with the piece of paper and get real. Get real about where you are right now, what things in your life you know need to change. Because let me tell you, we know what things need to change.
Things that don't serve your purpose.
Things that are not going to, things that don't fit in that life of the best version of you, they need to change one way or the other. So get real with it, make a list. I think it's really important to put things on. I know we use our phones for everything.
I know,
but I think pen to paper, it just makes things more real for me.
It does. No, same for me. We talked about this, making a pros and cons list. Mm-hmm. Do the same with your life. Mm-hmm. With the areas of your life that are not serving you a purpose.
I don't like only focusing, even though in the book they do say like just make a thing on the negatives.
Okay, but this is step one.
Though that's what I'm saying. I like starting with these are all the things that do align with the Pro Max version of me.
Yeah, with your future self.
Right? With the best version of me, right? And then from there, you're like, okay, now these are the things.
But you know what
I think it's a personal preference to like start with the good.
And I get that. But you know what?
It might not be for everyone.
What I was going to say is that sometimes those things could skew the real work that needs to be done. Facing the things that you know you're not doing right.
I have my list. I literally have my list that I made at the end of the thing. I don't want to read too much of it because
I know it's personal.
There's a lot of stuff in here, but from me making the list first of the things that were energizing me, I was able to like, it's kind of like the opposite of that was depleting me. I'm trying to give one example. Like I wrote my business. And then I wrote like the things that I do in my business that I enjoy and the things that I do in my business that I don't enjoy, that I don't want to continue doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I know going forward that these things that I don't enjoy in my business, I need to hire somebody to do them. I need to delegate. There solutions, I guess is what I'm saying. The Beverly 0.0 version of me Beverly Pro Max.
I lost it.
The best version of me. I don't fucking know. The best version of me has a solution to this, and I just have to put it on paper to see it. Okay? Mm-hmm. So step one is that. The other things that the book recommends is pinpoint the traumatic event.
That's the hard part. And you know why that's hard? Because it takes you... Listen, you have to be ready to take yourself there. You have to be ready to take yourself there. And I feel like it's hard to come to terms with that you have things that you have not faced. Things that are so buried in you that you have no idea. And in order to get those things out, man, it's not as easy. Like, I know that in the book they recommend like the steps are like, you know, meditating, talking to yourself like your child's self. You know, they recommended even like sitting in a closet and not being fearful. It's so important for you not to be scared, because then when you're scared, you're not gonna get to the bottom of it. And that's hard to do because let's be honest, it's scary. Mm-hmm. Going back to things that hurt you and that have scarred you, whether you know it or not, is hard. To put yourself in that position, willingly, that's not easy.
Our emotions will take us right back, and we will literally feel like we're still there.
Yeah. I had this conversation with my mom, like, even like we had this conversation a couple of episodes ago when we're talking about traumas, that certain smells and certain noises and certain like touches and feels and tastes could bring you back to such a specific place. And sometimes that's a scary place. That's a place you don't want to go. And that's why you don't eat the things that you eat or smell the things or put yourself in situations where that could instantly bring you back. But to do this kind of work, you have to kind of trigger yourself, because you need to figure out why those things happen and how they serve a purpose in your life today, so that you can understand them and start putting them in the forefront. So when you make decisions, they're not blocking your view. They're not standing in your way.
In this book, she mentions that triggers are the gateway to like
They are
figuring out what, like, how to
It's
go
true.
move forward. I want to try something, babe, and let me know if you think this is dumb, because we won't do it. Think of like a hypothetical like situation and work through these steps as if. Does that make sense? So like, let's say I made this list, and one of the things that I realize I want to change is I'm single and I want to be in a relationship.
Okay.
Right? So step number 1 is to pinpoint the traumatic event. So let's say I had a relationship. I realized that the reason that I had struggled with relationship is because I never had a relationship with my father.
I was going to say, it stems from your childhood.
Okay.
So
let's say the traumatic event was my father abandoned me. My father left when I was a baby. I never knew anything about him.
I know that.
I'm saying father because I feel like...
you're talking about you as you're using yourself as an example right now.
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it fits in my example.
I guess it fits. That's why I'm like, wait, are we...
I'm just using a hypothetical that we can try running through all the steps so that it makes sense to anybody who's like trying to make sense of this list.
All right.
Oh, so let's say step number 1 is make the list. We figured out, okay, we want
a healthy relationship. Okay.
And I don't have that right now. So that's the problem that I have. I want a healthy relationship. I don't have that. Then we need to pinpoint the traumatic event. Traumatic event was
your dad leaving.
My dad abandoning me. Step number 3, really. Release unprocessed emotions. What would that look like in this type of situation?
You're saying, I'm telling you, this is going to be tough, but you have to be like, unworthiness of love. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of protection. I'm not worthy of unconditional love.
There's something wrong with me. Like, these are all the things that we are...
Yeah, those are things that you tell yourself when a parent... Well, we're in this situation,
hypothetical, right?
In this hypothetical, where you may say yourself, you're not worthy of having... Like, if your parent didn't stay, why would anybody else stay?
Right.
Which is false. Okay, go.
Yeah, but it's something that's so.
Well, we're walking them through. Yeah.
All right, now I pinpointed that the traumatic event was my father abandoning me, and I'm releasing these unprocessed emotion by speaking to a therapist, by speaking to a mentor, by journaling, by meditating, by hugging myself, like
praying.
By praying, all these things that are going to help me process the emotions that I never actually processed. I was just living life, not even thinking about this. Okay. The next step is to find a healthier way to meet our needs. What would that look like in this situation?
Well, first of all, like, if you do have those feelings, the first thing is being like, that's not true. And basically saying, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of protection.
That's step 4, though.
And what did you say?
Reinvent. I said step 3, find healthier ways to meet our needs. So what would be another way to meet our need of needing to feel loved?
First of all, loving you.
Period.
And receiving love from people that are around you, that are giving you love, receiving that open-heartedly. Because when you start receiving that, it's easier to start translating that into other aspects of your life.
Yes.
You know?
So The next step was find a healthier way to meet your needs. Love yourself, because your deep-rooted feeling of I'm not worthy of love, you can show yourself, yes, I am. I love myself.
Sure.
That's why I only eat things that are healthy, are going to help my body with nutrients and help me feel great. This is why I exercise, not because I need to look any certain way, because I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to live a long life. This is why I drink a lot of water. I go to bed early. I read books that are going to nourish me and keep me like sane and give me entertainment.
I go to therapy.
I have good friendships.
I journal.
Those are all healthier ways to meet your needs.
Yeah.
The next one is to reinvent your self-image, which is what you were saying prior.
Yeah. It's like when those intrusive thoughts come into your brain telling you, you're not worthy of love, you say the opposite. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of being safe. I am worthy of all the things that you tell yourself you're not. You are.
Mm-hmm. And then the next one is develop principles like emotional intelligence and resilience.
I think for me, using this as an example is, man, not only when the intrusive thoughts come into play, but like standing in front of a mirror and facing yourself and doing affirmations is huge. Because you're looking at yourself and that hits differently. It's so awkward in the beginning. And then the more you do it, you're like, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been drunk.
I've never done this.
Okay, I have. I don't know if you've ever been drunk in a bathroom and you go use the bathroom, you start giggling in the mirror. Like, I've done this a million times. But like, it's the same feeling of like joy that you feel sometimes of like looking yourself in the mirror. You're like, yeah, you're so funny, But when you start doing that in, telling yourself these nice things, these beautiful things about yourself, you start to believe it. So when other people start to give it to you, you receive it and you believe it and you digest it, and it just becomes part of your everyday. Practice makes habits. You got to practice them to make them a habit.
I think they say 21 days it takes to form a habit.
No idea.
I think I've read that.
I've read that, but I don't know the exact number.
I don't know. I think it's like science backed, but it takes about 21 days of you doing the same thing every day.
It's 6 weeks for people to notice, and 8 weeks or something like that.
I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know. I have this book that I haven't finished reading. Atomic Habits. And it's like about the concept. Yeah, I have it upstairs. I've read the first chapter like 8 times.
Mine was more a study on TikTok, so.
I have so many books that I like start reading and don't finish because that's me self-sabotaging.
Not trying to get that information because you don't
I'm not trying to grow. I'm like, well, I'll stay here. I'm comfy. Thank you.
Comfy for 200.
So, as we've said in every episode, we are not speaking from a place of we got our shit together. We're speaking as a place of
we're struggling with you, boo.
I've had so many rereading this or re-listening to this. I've had so many like aha moments. Like, oh crap, I'm really self-sabotaging hard over here. I need to do something about it. I need to fix this. So I'm currently halfway done rereading it and putting these things into practice. If any of this sounds familiar, please do the work. Please read the book. Please listen to the book.
Read the book first and foremost, because let me tell you, mind open.
We don't do it justice. Our 2 hours of talking crap about it doesn't do it justice to the amount of information, the amount of stuff that we both learned. We took a lot of good stuff from this book. And yeah, self-sabotage is something that we all do, and we need to
we all
pinpoint
do it.
We don't realize it.
How it holds us back in everything we do. In literally everything we do. Every aspect. You want to be a better mom, better dad, you're self-sabotaging your way there. You want to be in a better relationship, you're self-sabotaging yourself there. You want to have a bigger business, you want to have a better job, you're self-sabotaging your way there.
Yeah.
You want to have more connections, you're self-sabotaging your way there. And it's just us getting in the way of us.
Yes, but we are no longer accepting that. We're no
Yeah.
longer accepting the things that don't serve us a good purpose, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We invite you to do the same. Read this book. Let us know what you think. I think I wanted to start this challenge with Cynthia of like getting out of self-sabotage and really journaling and putting it on like
Social media.
on social media and like holding ourselves accountable and showing ourselves, number one, I can set a goal and meet it, and number two, I can be vulnerable and hope that other people will, at least one person will connect and try to do the same with us, you know. So we want to try doing that. I'm thinking about starting maybe on the 1st of March because
Same.
it's like around the corner. Well, when is this gonna air? Time out.
Yo no sé.
I think this will already be in March. It will. This will be March 2nd, 7th.
So maybe by the time you see this, we've had at least one day of something on social media. Us doing.
Look for it. If not, you can yell at us and smack us around
Yeah,
and stuff.
keep us accountable. You guys can do that. You guys are allowed.
Yes.
For me, I journal every day. I pray every day. For me, this year is not only of continue to figure out the things that serve me purposes, like serve me a purpose or not in my life, but also getting to where I want to get to, you know, and part of that journey is my relationship with God. We've mentioned this a million times in the podcast, but we grew up in church, and it holds a very significant part in my life. It's so important because whether I am there or not, a lot of these things that I've learned are what keep me grounded. You know, and it's funny because Beverly and I had this conversation about what we want to pass on to our kids. You know, and for me, when I think about the things that I want to pass on to my child or my future children, if I have any more, is knowing that, one, they can do whatever it is that they want by, from the moment that they're young, developing that. It's so important to develop that in a younger age. We didn't get the chance to develop that. We developed that later on in life, and that's why it's so difficult. But when you start younger, it's easier to just make habits of those things, especially things that are going to serve you a purpose for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But also for me, it's very important that my child is very rooted in faith also, because I feel like that's the problem with today's society. Like, we have nothing for the most part. And this is just my personal opinion once again. Like, I respect everybody's opinion. But when I think about me and when I see the world, I feel like it's very hard for people to feel sense of connection when they don't even know. What did I tell you this week?
There's like you have no anchor. You have like no direction.
You don't have an anchor. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, if you don't have an anchor and you don't know who you're calling out for, like, how do you, yourself is not enough. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's just me. Once again,
you're saying that we need a higher being.
For me, that's important. Like, that's what has kept me sane, I think, for most of my life when I've faced difficulties and challenges that are bigger than I could imagine. I couldn't imagine my life without having God to fall on my knees to and praying to, apart with figuring out all these things that I have in my brain and in my spirit and my soul, trying to make sense of that, making sense of the trauma, making sense of the pain, and figuring out a way to get myself out of the way to get where I want to go to, you know? So I think when we talk about what we're passing on, that's important for me. Like, making sure that my son understands, like, you know, having faith, knowing that you're going to see it through is so important. So
I love that, babe. So yeah, that was our like self-sabotage whole debacle. It took 2 episodes to get through that.
This is too much, and we still didn't even touch the surface.
There's a lot of information in this book, and not only in this book, you can find information in other places as well. And there is something else we wanted to get to. We had a Dear Cynthia.
Yes.
I think I have it
Read it
on
for
my
me, babe.
phone.
Because Jessica's not here, so guess what? I'm recorded on mine. So if you guys didn't know, we record on our phones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned that? I don't even know.
No,
if
we have
mentioned
never
that.
mentioned that. So today is mine.
Okay.
So I can't even use it.
So this says, Dear Cynthia. It doesn't say that, but I added it because it's implied. The joys of motherhood. I have an 18-year-old boy. For any parent nowadays, it's so hard to keep the kids in the right, quote unquote, right path. With today's open mind society, I remember being 18 and doing crazy, crazy shit. I get scared just thinking about him doing the same. I know he's 18 and I have to start letting him live life his way. How can I let go of being a protective mother without giving him too much grief? No, sorry. Too much leeway of doing stupid shit.
When I read that, it was kind of hard because the question is, how don't you give him too much leeway so that he doesn't do stupid shit? And for me, it's like, first of all, we've been there, done that, all of us. That's part of learning and that's part of growing. I feel like he is 18 and it's hard at this point in his life if you've never set, ground rules, boundaries, expectations. It's hard to implement that now.
To start it now,
yeah,
I mean.
because they're 18.
Yeah.
And even though I'm assuming this child lives, or this adult lives in your house, right? And if you've never set ground rules, it's kind of hard to establish that now, even if they live in your home. Because
let's say they have set ground rules.
If they have, then it's different. Because I feel like a lot of these things that go into adulthood are established when they're teenagers. And let's be honest, we've all been teenagers and we've all done stupid shit. That's just part of becoming a teenager. I think the difference would be, or is, depending on if you talked about these crazy situations that you've dealt with or lived through with your child. Because I feel like that would open a line of communication. And that opens a door for you to be like, listen, I mean, I did all these things and it's pretty dumb. Like, this happened, or I found myself in unsafe situations. But like, if you hid that from a child or from an adult for most of their life,
they're still a child. I'll go through my spiel after, but
but it's just hard because it's like, if those things weren't set when they were younger, it's hard to kind of set them now. So it's kind of, I guess my question, Beverly says this every Dear Cynthia, but I have more questions. Like, did you guys talk about these things when he was younger? What kind of relationship do you guys have? And what kind of stupid shit are you talking about? That's what I want to know. Because it would be fun to know, like, what are you so scared of? Is it drugs? Is it like the partying, drinking and driving? Because there's certain things that for me, you just said it. And usually, if you are very honest with your kids are not gonna overstep that boundary. Like,
they will.
But they'll dabble, but they won't. For the most part, they won't fully fledged. I mean, at least my parents were pretty honest.
See, what was your? That's what I was gonna say.
That's why
I was 18 and I was already on my own.
Yeah, it's
so
different
for you. Like, how was your experience as being an 18-year-old still living with your? How old were you when your parents moved to DR?
I was 22.
Okay. So from your entire life until you were 22, you lived with your parents. Mm-hmm. What type of boundaries did they set with you?
Well, I've talked about this in many of our episodes on how strict my dad was. And you know this, how much begging I had to do to go out. Mm-hmm. Even at 18, 19 years old, I had to, like, at 18, turning 19, my dad at that point was like, all right, listen, there's only so much I can do. You know what I'm saying? And I know that you're being safe. No, we weren't. We were still doing stupid shit because we were teenagers. And by stupid shit, I mean, like, we were partying a lot, and drinking. But I don't think I put myself in extreme dangerous situations. I don't think. Maybe, not that I could remember because I was drinking a lot. But other than that, like, I didn't, like, drugs for me, like, is not something I dabbled with. I didn't, honestly, and I'm going to say this on camera, I didn't try weed until like I was 21, 22 years old. That was the first time I tried it. And then I tried it and never tried it again for like a year. And then I, would smoke here and there. And that wasn't my thing. I like dropped that real quick. Because not being in control of my mind and my thoughts, no can do, sorry. But other than that, like I didn't do anything that put me in danger, if that makes sense. Like that, but that's also my personality. And also my dad scaring me half my life. I think that's why I'm so anxious too, you know? But that was just me growing up. I was, for you, it was completely different.
That's what I was going to say. At 18, I was already not in my house.
Yeah.
So the spiel I want to put out there is, just because your child is an adult at 18 legally doesn't mean that their brain is in the right mind to be an adult. Okay. No. I had no freaking business being on my own at 18. I didn't know. I like ruined my credit like 3 days into being 18.
3 days.
Like record time. Like I had no business being on my own. Okay. Yeah. Flunked out of college. Like, so I had a scholarship and everything. And I just, all went to shit because I was a child and I had no business being on my own. I don't know what it's like to live with, like, as an adult with my parents. So it's hard for me to talk from experience. I have a teenager now who's like itching for more independence. Just from me knowing that I'm going to have to be there with her soon, my oldest. And then my youngest is only 1 year behind her. So with both of them soon. It comes down to trusting that what you've taught them along the way will hold them through difficult situation. Talking to them, they might not, I mean, honestly, once they reach a certain age, there's certain things that they don't want to tell you, which is normal. Yeah. I think just being there to listen if they ever want to is key. And just like, be real. Like, hey, listen, if you want to try X, Y, and Z, like I've tried it before and let me tell you, it's not fun. If, drink and drive, if you drink and drive, this could happen. I saw a friend who had a really bad accident. Like, it's really about trust. Once your son is 18 now, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. Whether you know about it or whether he hides it from you, he's going to do whatever he wants to do.
The options are slim because at 18, you're just able to do so much legally. That's the thing. It's hard to control. I think
it's about like setting boundaries. I think that if your 18-year-old lives with you, it's still okay for him to have like a curfew, even if the curfew was way later than when he was 17, 16, 15. It's still okay for him to have either a curfew or be like, okay, if you want to go out, that's cool, but you need to sleep in your house because otherwise I'm going to be worried. Or, okay, you have a girlfriend, you sleep over her house sometimes. I need a text to let me know that you're not coming home tonight. Whatever the boundaries that you decide you want to set for your son, they're fine. Like, you own it. Only you will know what's the best for your kid. All right. I don't like the idea of my adult child living with me and just being like a free for all. Like this is not a hotel. Like,
oh no.
There's certain boundaries that have to be set. Like for me, when my kids are older, even if they start dating, like, this is not a hotel. If you have your boyfriend and your girlfriend, you're not coming here to have sleepovers. Like, that's one boundary that I know for sure I'm going to have. Sure, me too. The rest of the boundaries, I guess we'll cross that bridge. Not that bridge. We'll cross that bridge once we get there. But I guess from seeing my cousins, I have 2 cousins who's my aunt Macho was like, one of them just moved out, like, didn't even want to. She wanted to live with her mom forever, which is my goal. I want my kids to live with me until they're completely ready. Like, I don't ever want them to feel rushed to leave my house, okay? But same. She was, like, very trusting with them and was pretty much, like, I don't know the specifics, but I'm sure she was probably like, okay, you have to sleep in your house because they never slept, like, out anywhere. But she let them have liberty. They made some... As somebody who was with them, they made maybe a couple of questionable choices, but nothing crazy.
But that's just part of learning.
It's just learning. We have to learn. We have to live to learn. We're going to make mistakes. And the stupid shit that you did, your son's going to do some too. You can't
That's the
avoid that.
reality.
You can't
And
avoid
that's
it.
scary to think because
'Cause
you
they-
want to protect your kids so much.
But we don't learn from other people's experiences.
No, we talked about this in the last episode. Sometimes you need to
We
touch
need
the
to
fire to know
learn-
that it burns.
We need to learn from
It's
our
not
own
enough that somebody
experiences.
tells you it's hot. You still gotta burn yourself.
Yeah. So as a this is what is it called? El burro diciéndole whatever.
A la burra. El burro hablando de oreja.
Yeah, something like that. That's me because I'm super overprotective with my girls. So that they think that me and John are ridiculous. I think it's just about safety.
But I'm seconding that. Because I agree with you 100%.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being ridiculous. I don't know. But I feel like there's certain boundaries and there's certain limits for each age group. And as long as I believe I'm doing the best for them at their current age, and you are doing the best for your son at his current age, that's all you can do. Mm-hmm. The rest, they're gonna experiment. They're gonna try stuff out. They're gonna dabble. They're gonna dabble, and it's normal. Hopefully, you have a relationship where he can come and tell you if he fucked up too hard, where he needs help fixing it.
That's my goal. That's my goal too. Just keep the lines open for communication. That your child knows that they can come to you without you even having to question. If they feel that comfortable, they'll be like, yo, mom, listen, I'm in deep shit.
Okay, but like Cairo's 18 and it's like, mommy, I'm really drunk. And if I move this car, I'm scared.
You're not moving the car. I'm coming to get you.
Exactly. But it sounds easy. And we're hoping that our kids will do that. But in their head, they're like, oh, but I'm 18. I'm not even supposed to be drinking. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand that. But I think that being honest about like, listen, if you do this and if you find yourself in this situation, I'm never going to be mad because your safety comes before anything to me. Your safety is number one for me. And let's be honest, we've been drinking since before we were 18.
Yes.
So let's not be judgmental to our kids again. Tú estabas bebiendo, you were drunk too.
That's the thing. But I've been honest with my daughters. Like, you know, I started clubbing.
I was honest with I
way
got
too
drunk
damn
with my
early.
dad the first time when I was 14.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
You have a 13-year-old goddaughter. Can you imagine her in September when she turns 14?
My dad, this is the thing. And I didn't get super drunk, but I started drinking with my dad that one day, and I'll never forget it, because of his fear of me getting older and not being able to handle my alcohol in situations where I should be able to handle and be like conscious about those.
No,
decisions.
his logic was he doesn't want you to be taken advantage of.
Exactly. He's like, you need to know your limits. Would I do that now? No.
Okay, babe. But each parent is gonna know. Is gonna do what they think is best for their child.
To me, I understood where he was coming from.
Yeah. No, I'm not judging him.
No, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't do it. I understand the logic that he had. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do it. No.
I'm saying, could you picture that with Aliyah in September when she's 14?
But to be honest, at that age, that's what a lot of us were doing. I'm not saying you. I'm saying for me, that I had two older brothers that were very like, listen, as long as you're with us, I'm fine with whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I took advantage of that. Because that's...
I always wanted an older brother.
But they were like, listen, you can drink, but you're going to be right here with me. Like, they were... Like, they gave me freedom, but they were like, pero tampoco te vamos a ver. Like, let's not get crazy here. Yeah. Like, you'll have some wine, but you're going to be right here with us. Like, it was just those things. But my dad just didn't... Like, and I think it's because he worked in construction so much that he had to be in and out of dorm rooms. Like, he's done so many different jobs. But I remember him specifically saying that they had to go do a job in a dorm room. And I don't remember where. But he was just seeing, like, all these girls, like, drunk and, like, all over the floor and, like, couldn't, like, even walk to their room. And he thought, oh, my God, if my daughter gets to that point, can't even walk and doesn't know where her room is, people are just taking her to her room, they're going to take advantage of her.
Scary for a dad.
And that's scary. So my dad's like, no, you need to learn your limits. Mm-hmm. You're not going to just be drinking to get sloppy and, like, don't even know where you are and, like, just trust that nobody's going to hurt you, because that's not the world we're living in. So that's our Dear Cynthia, tipsy and tangent.
Tipsy and tangent. So the question was,
but it's a conversation that needs to be had.
How can I let go of being a protective mother without giving him too much leeway of doing stupid shit? I say the answer is he's gonna do stupid shit. The leeway has to be there. It comes down to you having this conversation and saying, listen, you're a teenager. This is what I did when I was a teenager. This is what you need to do to be safe, and hope that he takes the advice from then on.
For me, the biggest thing is drinking and driving. Because alcohol is so accessible to everyone, obviously.
That's like the number one reason that people die in that age group, right?
Dude.
Car accidents.
Drinking and driving.
Not even just drinking and driving, even driving sober but driving recklessly.
Oh, that's
is another
one.
reason.
Yeah,
we had a local kid who just, I think he was drunk. He just passed away like maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago. A kid like 19 maybe years old.
That's my biggest fear. And that's why these conversations, as tough as they are, be like, listen, I understand you're going to be with your friends and you're going to drink. Make smart choices. If you are drunk, mom is not going to be mad at you. Call me. I'll pick you up. Call an Uber. Thankfully, we live in a just like we curse the internet, but we also bless it. Mm-hmm. Because the fact that you can just get on an app and order an Uber.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you're going to make it hold safe. To me, means more than I'm not going to be mad.
It's okay. We had yellow cab.
Yeah, and people still didn't do the yellow, but it's because of the cash. Nobody ever had cash.
I had cash.
But like, it's just those things like the conversation about drinking and driving and wearing your seatbelt. That's my biggest pet peeve, guys. I think it's because I've seen so many people that could have been saved in an accident and didn't because they didn't have a seatbelt on. I wear my seatbelt to the corner. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I'm wearing my seatbelt. Mm-hmm. And I don't go until my son has a seatbelt on.
Yeah, but that, again, is a habit that is formed since when they're younger.
Well, yeah, and it formed for me, like seeing friends die that shouldn't have been dead. That's scary. I'm like, you could have survived that if you had a seatbelt on. So it's just all these conversations and like being honest, like just be honest. Mm-hmm. Like don't instill fear, but be honest about the consequences that can happen.
And that's something else. They need to sometimes face some of these consequences to learn.
Hopefully not.
Not an extreme consequence like that. An extreme consequence. I'm talking about like you're speeding and you're gonna get a $200 speeding ticket and points.
Especially if you're under 21.
That's a consequence that they're gonna have to deal with.
Sometimes.
And it's like, okay, well now your insurance is a lot more expensive, hon. You're gonna have to pick up more hours at work, like
a natural consequence.
Some of these consequences they have to live through to learn.
Yeah. So listen, just talk to your son. Open up the line of communication. Safety over everything. Mm-hmm. Make sure that they feel safe, that they can call you if they're in trouble. Because that's more important than you yelling at them and being upset at the choices that they're making. Let's remember.
It's hard to keep.
I know it's hard, but they're teenagers. And in those moments, think about yourself.
Yeah.
And the stupid shit you did. And think about that if your child calls you to tell you, hey, mom, I'm in trouble, is better than not telling you at all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me.
And thank you for writing in. Just the fact that you're writing in and that you're concerned about this tells me that you're a great mom.
Yeah.
So your child is lucky to have you. And yeah, it gets better from here. From 18 up. Yes.
I'm not even close to there. But
from 18 up, after that, they just become more independent and then they become your best friend. Adult versions of you, which is crazy.
I couldn't imagine Carol like me because he's just like me already. It's so scary.
Okay, anyways. So this was part 2 to Self-Sabotage. And yeah, I think that's it.
I want to say thank you for getting tipsy with us.
Again, and for keeping it truthful again. Bye.